right, guys. 10 years ago, I embarked on a journey to be the next big gaming YouTuber. Not going too well. Won't lie to you. But, yeah, the one thing that, even though I have been doing this for 10 years, one thing I've been doing a lot longer than that is lifting. So, I was doing the math on this because I was preparing for this video. I was in my first gym when I was 7 years old. My dad threw me into a gym at a YMCA where the limit was supposed to be 13, and I remember I had to lie. I was like, I'm 13, but that's not true. So this will be my 20th year. I'm 27, so this will be my 20th. This will be my 20th year in gyms, which now that I think about it, that's probably more than most fitness influencers now that I think about it. But even that, again, I've been doing this for a while. Now, I'm no expert by any means. Again, I just go to the gym to basically just clear my mind. But I have been around a lot of guys who are definitely experts. I've definitely gone to gyms. Even my gym now, we have a lot of Olympians. We have a lot of just big dudes, like more so former guys that have been in the industry and just kind of got older and fizzled out, but still huge dudes. So again, I'm around a lot of people that are definitely know what they're doing. And I know a decent amount, but I'm no medical guy. But let's go over the do's and don'ts. Again, we're not going to go too deep into it. I'll leave that to the actual influencers. But let's see some gym fails, 3, 2, 1. First off, your friend's a terrible spotter. When a guy gets to like the point where it's not going up anymore, so right there, that guy should have had his hands underneath right away. That's the difference between a good spotter and a bad spotter, right? Most people, like, you'll never see a good spotter stand like that. A good spotter is always going to have his hands in between the bar and your chest for the most part and help you when you need it. Again, the difference between a really good spotter and a good spotter is they'll know when to put the hands on the bar. I like to consider myself a good spotter, but little quick story for you. A long time ago, back when I was in college, I came home and we went to a retro fitness with my brother. If Kenny sees this, he'll know this story. So he was incline pressing. And I don't know if you've ever been to a retro, but they usually have the same machines all the way around because I think they make all their machines, or at least they color them. I don't know. But the incline press usually has a platform behind it for spotters. But for some reason, this retro only had, it's like a platform just for the size of your feet. So literally like one shoe size and one shoe size, like two separate platforms that were like this big. Kenny was on his last rep and I sneezed or something and I slipped off. So Kenny was like this. He's like, Chris. I'll never forget that, but I always thought that was so funny. Oh. As you guys can tell, I have a pretty sick sense of humor, but wow, that's an interesting one. So when you're squatting, you want to be as straight up as possible in the sense of your back's usually back here, have the bar. I know I should be like standing while doing this, but you want to keep your back pretty much like this. There's a little bit of this, but like for the most part like this. Otherwise, when you have too much weight, that happens. You'll fall forward. Most of the time you stay up, so if you have to bail out, you bail back, but he doesn't have a bail rack, so otherwise known as a safety guard. They're pretty expensive. Honestly, the real downside to the fitness industry, which anyone in the fitness industry will know, a lot of these machines are, like, just parts of machines are super overpriced. I guarantee you just those safety bars are probably like $150 a piece. And it's only like 2 metal rods on the side. You can MacGyver it, but I don't know if you want to risk that one. But holy crap. The fact that this guy doesn't have a serious brain injury or head injury is kind of nuts. Let me see that one again. Yeah, I mean, if that bar, let's say he had, those have got to be 45s, I'm going to assume. So imagine if those plates were just a little smaller in diameter. I mean, he would have crushed his skull easily. I wouldn't be surprised if he cracked his skull there. And he just doesn't realize it.
Right.
Okay, pause. First off, you should never be squatting that close to a wall. This guy has no distance for, like, if he has to bail out, there's nowhere for that bar to go. So he can't go forward with it because the bench is in front of him. So if worse comes to worse, like say he just gets stuck here, which I'm predicting he probably will, there's nowhere for him to go. He's literally stuck.
Oh, damn. TG John.
So one thing I do want to say, though, again, this is just too much weight, but unlike the last guy, as you can see, he is straight up, which is why he went straight down rather than, swaying back and forth. So his form's actually really good. It was just too much weight for him. But, I mean, that's...
Oh, damn. TG John.
Help me. There's never been a couple times that we've been in that position. So for this one, this is the rack I was talking about, that safety guard. That thing hooks into most squat racks. Usually it's on the inside, but you can get the outside ones, which I actually prefer. I actually don't like squatting. Well, I can't squat anymore, but I don't like squatting inside something because I always feel a little claustrophobic. So I like squatting with the long guards rather than the inner guards, but that's just me. Now, based on this kid's face, he's going to pass out. I can already tell. I mean... My guess is it's too much weight for him. He's going to end up just fucking... Yeah, this is going to be a pass out. Yeah. So, passing out... Again, I've seen this a lot. This happens a lot at most gyms. But I should say there is a difference between, bodybuilding gyms and, normal gyms, if you will. But passing out's pretty common. It's not as, I guess... It's not rare to see. I guess I shouldn't say it's not common, but it's not uncommon. So what ends up happening is you end up cutting off your body's pressing so much that you end up cutting off oxygen to the brain. And that's what ends up happening. You just end up passing out. Thank God he has those guards there, because that's literally what the guards are for. If you were to bail out, you would just walk forward. Like with this guy, you'll probably walk forward and then release, because those bars can take a lot of weight. You don't have to worry about the guards snapping or anything. But that's really what those are for, those safety guards. So if you were to pass out, go forward, or just bail out, the guards will protect you. Now, breathing is one of the most important things. In fact, I would say it's probably one of the most underrated things. If you have good breathing technique, which just comes with time, you can probably lift 10% more than you already do. I can't tell you how many kids I see. I go to a YMCA now. I can't tell you how many kids I see just hold their breath. It's such a bad idea to do because, again, you're cutting off oxygen to the brain, which means that you're not getting enough out of your lift. You should be able to do, I would argue, and again, bro science, you can probably lift 10% more just if you know how to breathe properly. And that's coming from a guy who has a deviated septum and can only breathe out of one nostril anyway, depending on which way I sleep at night. So, again, that sucks. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if he passed out or not, but thank God for those guards, right? Otherwise, that would have crushed him. Ideally, again, this is what happens when you end up leaning too far forward. Again, sometimes on your last rep, you can't help it. And again, thank God for those guards. Ideally, what would happen, first off, you'd have a spotter behind you with that kind of weight, because that looks like 15, 4, what is that, 405, 455, right? That's probably a 25 on the end. So either way, crazy amount of weight, but again, you're getting into dangerous weight at that point. Personally, in my belief, and again, I might, if this goes viral, someone's going to say, what is this kid talking about? Anything over 315, I think you're just doing irreparable damage to the discs in your spine, where yeah, you can do it at 30, but once you get to 50, you're going to start feeling the repercussions of your actions. And I think that's not talked about enough. I think too many people say go heavy, and I'm definitely considered a heavy lifter, but nowadays I'm not competing or anything, so you'll never see me put anything over 315 on a bar. Even deadlifting, I won't go over 315 anymore. So yeah. I mean, I'd rather go for reps than maxes. That's just my opinion. Again, come at me for that one if you want. Oh, what's this called? This is an augmented deadlift. I think it's called a high lift, but I'm not sure. Unless he's axle pressing it, which he might be. Yeah, he's probably axle pressing if it's... No offense to this guy, but he doesn't look like he's doing heavy deadlifts, So let's see if it's an axle press.
Get up there, Chappie. Bang!
Yeah.
That's it. Hold it there. You better. You better. Go on.
I don't know if I would consider that a fail, but so an axle press, again, that's like a powerlifting exercise. What you're supposed to do is you're basically getting the bar, using your entire body to get the bar up. Again, if it's a lot of weight, that's going to hurt your back, so just be careful when doing it. Definitely start light, just like with any other exercise. But your goal is to get it up to here and then press it up. So they really only showed us half the exercise. I can't really say if that was good or not, but he was definitely struggling. Always a good sign. Always a good sign when your spotter is going, nah. So it looks like 315. 45. Yeah, I would say that's 315. Yeah, looks like it. No, it's got to be 2. Oh, no, it's 3. So just based on how easy that was for him to take off, I'm going to say that that's probably a 45, and that's probably 2 10s or 15s on the back. There's no way. That bar would be bent a little bit more if that was 315. Oof. Again, he got lucky. But same thing. Again, we won't go through that one just because same concept. Okay, there's so much wrong with this. So much wrong with this. And it makes me so mad. So the Smith machine, I think, is also one of the most underrated exercises. You'll hear a lot of influencers say, oh, the Smith machine's stupid as shit. Bullshit, dude. It's one of the best exercises, best machines ever created, in my opinion. You can do a lot with the Smith machine. Now, this is what this moron did. So see those 2 yellow things at the bottom? Those are your safety guards. You can slot those up wherever you want so that when the bar goes down, no matter what weight it is, because it's limited by how much space you have in the bar, those guards can hold that whole thing 100%. You can drop those from the top. Those guards will never break. It's insane how much weight they can handle. Now, use the guards. They put them there, especially if you're squatting, dude. That's the whole point of the bar. The guards, I mean. So, again, this is, you know what? This one's deserved. I'm going to say it. It's deserved. Now, the other downside to the Smith machine, and I think why people don't like it, is you don't have to work your stabilizing muscles, which is true. Again, I wouldn't squat on the Smith machine. Really, the only thing that I use the Smith machine for is reverse shrugs. And that's really just for a warm-up to actually shrug with dumbbells. But, again, this guy, I mean, this was... Not only did this guy have the worst form ever... Because I knew going in, like, once you see how that guy was standing, you know it's going down. But why did you guys put 405 plus what looks like a 20 stop, so another 455? I mean, it's easy on a Smith machine because a Smith machine, you're actually subtracting the 45-pound weight. It's actually like 10 pounds, but people just call it 0. It's just a bad idea. Don't do that. Also, make sure your form's good. Again, you're not PRing on a Smith machine, okay? You're practicing so that you can PR later. So like if you're doing 405 on a Smith machine, that means you could probably do like 315, 350, 365, like regular squat. Ideally, that's just a guess. But you're not throwing 465, 455 on a bar. You're just not doing it. This is called ego lifting. Okay, that is. Give me a calculator. When you have 5 guys around you, that's the sign that you shouldn't be touching the weight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 16 times 45 plus 45. So this guy is trying to bench 765. Right? We know how this is going, correct? Yeah, those guys did all the work. I don't even think he did anything. That is an ego lifting. That guy came into the gym today. I mean, you can tell by his attire. Jeans, dress shoes, and that he's wearing a wife beater underneath. So who knows what's going on at home, right? But you know this guy just came in and he was like, I'm going to assert dominance. Let me throw 765 on a bar and show the world how it's done. I never like squatting with a bench underneath me. If you squat with a bench underneath you, that's just a recipe for disaster. Because if you get cut off halfway down on the squat, it's over, boys. GG's. It's done. Yeah, there you go. So this is a combination of too much weight and stuff. This might just be kind of like a little freak accident if he's done it before. Maybe he's just too tired or whatever. I don't like having stuff underneath me for that reason, because your brain goes, oh, we can go to here, and then getting back up. Like doing a non-seated squat, like not touching anything and going all the way down, in my opinion, is easier than going halfway and hitting something and then basically starting the rep over from the bottom. That's tough. So again, it's a good exercise for you, but too much weight for this guy. Nope, too far back. Oh, you idiot. Oh, man. That's first off, again, might be too much weight. Maybe obviously going for a PR, but when you're leaning back that far, it's just a recipe for disaster. Also, I mean, I have to really look at his form, but not that. So I'm actually a terrible deadlifter, just because I'm so inflexible. I can't coil myself. Like, I actually have to start low, roll it back to me, and then bring it up. Because, again, I literally can't bend down to reach. My inflexibility is amazing. You guys will go, whoa. But what is it? That's 6 plates? So see how, like, when you... This is, again, my opinion. If you have to wrench it up like that, where you're really wrenching your whole back to get that up, it's too much weight, right? So, again, I don't want to brag, but I'll show you guys mine. So with mine, you'll see how, first off, I have to get all the way down low, as I said. I have to bring it back to me. So that's the same weight, 45. Now you'll see, this is why I'm a terrible deadlifter. See how my knees are already pretty much locked out. Like, you almost do it in 2 motions. But as you can see, it's not that much weight in the sense if I can get it up with just my back. I could do more. Bad idea, obviously. Just so you guys know, I couldn't walk for 2 days after I did this. It was a nightmare. My discs were so sore. The muscles in my back were sore. Terrible idea. I have not done this since. This was like probably a year and a half ago. Or maybe it was last summer. I don't know. But yeah. Not fun. Would not recommend. Okay, well, that's unnecessary. When you're screaming, hey, stop it, right? Stop it. Not bad. Good form.
That's...
Oh
my... Ian, oh my God.
What happened there? Oh, so he's doing it in socks, so that makes sense. Socks on a hardwood floor, not a good idea. Now, here's my thing with... I know a lot of people that will actually... So here's the idea behind not wearing shoes, which is very common in gyms. The idea is because you have a little bit more arch, you can actually drive straight down into the ground rather than with shoes. You're driving a platform down, and because of the cushion, you can't drive as hard. That's the point of why people will actually squat and deadlift without shoes on. I've never done it. I don't see much of a difference, but again, I've never tried it. So maybe it would be a huge difference. Again, hardwood floor and socks, would not recommend. Would not recommend at all. So this is what I meant by the closed-in squat. That's actually a lot of space. I'm actually kind of jealous. I feel, again, maybe it's just my brain tricking me, but I always feel like it's like half the size of that. That's why I'm always nervous to squat inside the cage rather than outside. But he's got 2 guards in the center, whereas we've seen the guards on the outside. Perfectly fine if that's how you want to do it. I'm just saying that's my preference. And I have a feeling it's not going to go well for this guy either. Okay, but that is the perfect bail. That's exactly what you want, actually. Ideally, you want to roll it off and then fall forward, but that's perfect. Like, that's, even though you couldn't get it, I mean, you're good, you know? Ideally, you'd have a friend behind you or spotter behind you to kind of guide you before you get it off. Like, they usually will guide you to get it onto your shoulders so that you feel balanced and then you can squat. 315, 325. So what is that? That's 365 plus, what is that, a 5? So 370. I mean, again, that's a tough one to put on your shoulders and then just go right into it. I'd like to have a spotter behind me for that much weight, but maybe he's done it before and it was just an awkward grab coming in. But yeah, I think that's perfect bail. That's what you want, actually. 280. Oh, this is a full clean. Oh, that's okay though. Again, it's a tough looking bail, but that's kind of what you want. Again, the worst thing you always want to throw it forward on a clean just in case, because you've probably seen them and maybe we'll see later. Some guys will actually go up, lose their balance, and it'll come down on them. Again, not what you want. There's really no, I'm going to be honest with you. There's really no good safety measure for bailing out on a jerk and clean. Except for maybe the long guards, which are outside the cage, as we say. But, yeah, I don't... there's no good way of doing it, in my opinion. Either way, it's going to suck, because a lot of times from that height, it'll actually bounce off the guard and roll off. So, again, this is best case scenario, in my opinion. Either way, the jerk and clean is a very hard exercise to do. That's a powerlifting exercise. I'm not a powerlifter, so I don't jerk and clean. But, yeah, I mean, I know you guys are yeah, Oh, I bet you jerk though. Yeah, okay, dude, we get the joke. You know, I like this. This is a simplistic rack. I like the simplicity. Long guards too. Oh no! Okay, I changed my mind. I don't like that one. Normally you have that stuff screwed to the bottom, like screwed into the ground so that they do not move. Also, I don't know why you would have this bar here unless it's supposed to be turned around just in case. But still, that's, I mean, it wouldn't matter because you still get wrecked. Yeah, that sucks. I take back what I said. I don't like this thing anymore. I don't know why that bar's there. Huh. Okay, so these guards are a little different. This is how you know it's a cheap gym. See that pole right there? I've definitely bent a couple of those poles. I've definitely seen and done bailouts where those poles will bend, and I go, ah, shit. And then they're like, you gotta pay for that. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking just get the guards. So, yeah, we'll see how this one goes. They can take a lot of weight, but good form. He's keeping it tight, which I like. Legs might be a little wide, but again, if that's what you're comfortable with, I'm not one to judge people's the comfortability or comfortability of their forms, just because I would be lying if I said I had the best squat form. Again, my inflexibility really limits me, but again, no excuses. Come on. Ah, he's losing it. Yeah, that's not fun. I mean, again, it looks like he started losing oxygen because he wasn't really, he actually did the opposite. It looks like he breathed out all the way to the point where like he literally had no oxygen left. Whereas the one that we saw in the beginning, that guy was holding in oxygen and the brain goes, oh, fuck, and then it just passes out. So this guy breathed too much and now he's struggling because his muscles are still constricting everything. Half lift? Oh, deficit deadlift. Ah, yeah. Again, at least, so this is called a half lift. Basically, when you're preparing to do heavier sets of deadlifting, you'll do this to actually strengthen the back muscles. I actually do this on a T-bar row. I just backload the T-bar and then I deadlift that way. And then next time I deadlift, I can usually do a little bit more weight. So this is a great exercise for you. I forget what there's another term for this exercise, but he did it on a deficit, which is fine. Deficit just means that he's got the plates here, so he's off the ground. And then yeah, just again probably was holding in breath or was letting out too much air and passed out. Nothing too crazy. Again, he's good. I can't tell you how many times I've seen my friends in this situation. I don't think I've ever. There's been a couple blackouts that I've had at the gym. I mean, definitely nosebleeds too. Back when I was in college, like we were deadlifting till our noses bled like crazy. But I can't tell. I always have ammonia salts on me just for friends and like whenever someone passes out, just because it wakes you up pretty quickly. I take ammonia salts every morning before I get into the gym. Well, I usually get there and my friends are like, "Hey, you taking your?" And I'm like, you know, I'm one of those people. So. Yeah, again, not a big deal. Passing out happens all the time. The problem at a YMCA is when people pass out, they're like, oh my God, because they're not used to it. But like when we used to go to Retro or LA Fitness or wherever, this was so common. It was not really that much of a problem. Usually you just leave them there until they wake up and then you just make sure they're okay. Okay, whoa, dude. That is way too much weight. 535. Now, hear me out. I'm just looking at his legs. I'm just saying, dude. That's a lot. You got it up. That's impressive. So I shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Long guards, which is good. Oh, wait. I thought he was squatting. What is that? I'm more impressed by the fact that he's able to hold that. Like, I mean, first off, my back would be screaming. That's a lot of weight. He's pretty tall, though. I have to think he's got to be like 6'2". Yeah, that's a lot of weight just to hold, let alone even do that little thing, whatever he's doing. Again, it's not a full squat, which is why, excuse me, the camera's making fun of him. Again, I'm very anti-cameras in gyms in my opinion, just because I hate when people post this stuff. But again, entertainment purposes. His face isn't in it, so it doesn't really matter that much. But either way, again, this is not a full squat, obviously. It is impressive he's able to hold that. But yeah, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. Too much weight, lower the weight. But I would say you could probably do like 315. This is the one time where I'll say that maybe that guard might not help you. I'm going to be honest. That guard might let you down, even if that's a long guard.
He can't get it up. He's not going to get it up.
Yeah, no way. So this is what I mean, though. This is irreparable damage to your back. If that goes, you're driving up. His feet are ducked, so that means that your feet are outwards. It's just too much weight on the spine. There's a little gap in between the discs where you're supposed to kind of rest your. There's two ways of squatting from back squat. You can kind of get it up in here, which is like, hopefully you guys can see it. You can get it up in here where like people normally squat, but then there's lower back squat, which is right down here. You can put the bar either there or there. The problem with the lower back squat is like your arms are doing like I've seen people snap their arms that way, and I'm sure you have too. Like it's too much weight back here, it dips too low and then snap. Whereas the collarbone one, you're more likely not to snap your arms, or not collarbone, I'm sorry, whatever this disc is. But it's just a lot of weight straight down on your spine. That's why heavy squatting is just such a bad idea. Unless you're going for world records. But like this guy, come on, what are we doing?
He can't get it over the fucking thing.
Yeah.
He's going to die.
He's going to drop or... he got lucky. Jesus. Yeah, it's not great range of motion. The leg is actually very adaptable in the sense like technically you could do a half rep and still get something out of it. But again, you're better off lowering the weight and doing a full rep. Now, the other problem with this exercise specifically, especially if you're wearing a weight belt, which I always recommend weight belts, it's not worth the injury. Trust me, just fucking wear a weight belt, even though every influencer is going to be like, well, you're not fucking working the muscles. It's not worth it. None of us are going for professional bodybuilding, so don't do it. Just wear a fucking belt. The only downside to a belt on this machine is because of the belt being here, it limits your range of motion. Like you can get your knees to your chest, but pushing it up is like that's how do I put this? It's good enough. It's more than good enough. You're still getting like 90 degrees, they say. Some people will go lower than 90 degrees, like on squatting and stuff. And again, that's not a bad thing. It actually does help your knees. But again, I wouldn't do heavy weight on it because that's how you start tearing ACLs. You'll get micro tears, whatever, some fractures. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen the videos of people that'll put too much weight on and then their legs snap forward, which I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, again, not the best range of motion. It's not the worst thing in the world if he's doing little reps, because you're still pressing with your legs. So again, not the best form, not the best range of motion, but you'll get by, you know? So that's probably 335, 355. Yeah, I couldn't get it. What gym has this many plates? Again, what is that? That's got to be 3,000 pounds probably. Okay, so 9 on each side. 9 times 5 equals times 45. Yeah, so that's that's just that alone. Just these two racks here and here. Those are 2,025 pounds. I have a gut feeling this guy's not going all the way down. Zero chance. Now, remember what I said about the adaptability of the legs? This is actually the one time where I will say that the ROM is not, range of motion, is not useful in any case. You know, he's bracing his legs with his hands, so that keeps your legs together. But yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, ego lift at the max, dude. I'm like an addict, dude. So one of these racks, again, it's built for, it looks like, I can't tell if that chair is built in or not, but this rack is perfect. No matter how much weight you drop on that bad boy, that thing's holding it, right? That's a good bar hold, right? A good guard. The only thing I will say is that that's a little too close to the wall. So if he was to bail out and fall forward, there's not much room to fall forward. This is actually designed so that if you were to fall forward, the bar is going to catch anyway. But if there's no one behind holding the backside, it's going to fall forward no matter what. So That's why I don't think that this chair is part of the machine, because then you'd have that hitting you in the back. But yeah, so that's why it's angled like that. So if you were to fall forward, it's not gonna. It'll just hook into something, and you're good. So again, very hard to hurt yourself on one of these. Too much weight. Guard saved him. Forward. Yeah, all these are pretty much the same. Oh! So I think that's actually from his chain, not from the bench. It's the bar itself. But, oh, that sucks, man. Oh, you're not sleeping. You're not taking showers for the next few days, dude. Oh, what do you call these things? These bars are kind of interesting. What are these called? Support bar? I forget. But you would think, so I tried doing this with my shoulder, because for those of you that don't know, I tore my shoulder, so I can't really squat anymore. But that you would think that with that, it's easier. It's actually not, because the bar wants to kick back up. So you have to not only pull down, but you have to pull down while squatting. So it's very awkward. It's not easy to do. Another duck out. And, yeah, see, he kind of, and what sucks is you can't really bail on that one either. As I said, it's just, that bar is weird. I think a lot of people go into it thinking, oh, this is just an easier squat, when in reality, it's probably just as hard. You just have something to grab. So even if your forms, the only thing that's different is instead of having your arms back here, you can have them up here, which shifts your weight. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Oh, I already know where this one's going, because I saw the thing wiggle in the back. What's going to happen here, and I'm just guessing, he's going to drop the weight and it's going to kick it forward. That would be my guess. It's about to hit him in the back. Let's see. Yep. That's why you always want to play it in the back. Oh, yeah, this is a tough one. I've seen this happen a bunch of times. Now, this is a really unlucky one. So one of the worst injuries I've ever seen was, I knew this guy who was benching, and he cracked all of the bones in his rib cage. So like everything here, his sternum cracked into. It was really bad. That's the one time where like, hey, we have to get this guy to the hospital. That was by far one of the worst injuries I've ever seen, because like his entire, like all this just caved in. And we were like, holy shit, did you puncture anything? And he's like not responsive. So it's like, hey, we got to go. But that was by far the worst I've ever seen. Landing it on your neck has to be number 2. I've never heard of anyone actually crushing their windpipe or larynx from this. I think the shoulders actually take most of the brunt force on that, like your collarbone. But yeah, it sucks if it's stuck on you. Luckily, this just hit and rolled off. Again, he's going to be like, ugh, for like a couple days. But for the most part, you should be okay. This is why you always have a spotter when benching heavy. Always. Don't risk it. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that you want, which is kind of correct with the bench press, this is the other one that you don't want to use clips, just because that way if you were to bail and it gets stuck on you, you can slide it off. Like whenever people get stuck, it's usually because they put clips on and they can't get them off. So, and then they have to do that weird thing with like, and then they have to like slide underneath it. So again, this sucks, but luckily I'm sure it'll be okay. It's not going to guillotine you, but I truthfully have never seen it, and again, I've seen a lot of injuries, but I've seen this happen a couple times. I've never seen any long-term damage, but hopefully that goes okay. Nope. Slipped. No, fingers only. Let's go. Right to back. Yep. Ooh, he's going to hit the guard. Ooh, that's going to hurt. The worst part about that's hitting the guard. Oh. She did a whole front flip. Oh, I'm surprised the spotter can't help him. Normally the spot. Oh God, everything about this is wrong. That I would blame the spotter on that one. The spotter should be able to get the weight up with you. Like there's this girl at my gym who's like 13 who I'll let her spot me sometimes just because like she's cool. So I mean, even she could do, like, I'll bench like, let's just say 215, and if I'm struggling, like she'll just be like, I'd be very surprised as to why that. Like, honestly, I think that guy did that on purpose. I'm going to say it. Like, my friend Kyla could do that pretty easily. So, yeah. She's a pretty good spotter. I taught her the way. It's no big deal. So for this one, now these I do not like at all. So I forget what these are called, but this is a special squat rack. This is really just competition. You really won't see these in gyms. So the way this works is essentially you're looking at the guard right now. It holds it. And basically instead of having to lift up and off, it'll actually just, like, once you get a little bit of pressure going up to get the bar off the rack, those will slide forward. Now, the problem with that is once you get to a certain point, someone has to come and like push it down so that you can re-rack. But let's see if it works. I've never used one of these. Yeah, there we go. So see, that guy has to kick it out. And then it fell forward, yeah. So that's why these are stupid. Like, I don't know why you need another. That's why you won't see them at another gym, because of the kick out thing. Someone has to manually do that. I see them where it'll actually just, like, it goes forward a little bit and then you just rack it forward. Like, it won't go any further forward. Like, it won't flip up all the way. So you just rack it and pull down and it'll pull it back. But yeah, that's not a fun one. Hex bar, deadlift. Not bad, but he's gonna pass out. Yep. Not bad though. Again, that happens. He's good. He got it. Oh, that was straight down, dude. Oh shit. Wow. Oh. This is the one that Travis posted in Discord the other day. I just realized. So this is called suicide gripping, but let's see if let's see. Oh wow, he wasn't even suicide gripping. He was full. How'd that happen? How'd that guy, like, I guess his thumbs just took too much of the weight. Where's my handy dandy shake weight? Because we do have to talk about suicide grips. So, yeah. So with the suicide grip, there's two ways of gripping a bar. You got this way, which is what I always recommend, where you have your thumb, lock it in. But then there's something called suicide grip, which is like this. Eventually you'll get to the point where you could pretty much hold anything like that. The only problem, I don't know what the argument is as to why suicide grip is better. I think the idea is if your thumb is here, again, I think, if your thumb is here, you can't tilt your wrist back and press up, so it's almost like the bar is on an angle, if you will. They say you can get more power by suicide gripping, but also you also get a crushed sternum if it goes wrong, right? That's like that guy I was telling you about who crushed his sternum. That's exactly what he did. He did the suicide grip. Now, with the suicide grip, I guess it does feel like it's further back on my hand. But again, I prefer, I don't know if it really matters. I think it's, yeah, it's pretty much the same. Again, I don't know I need someone to tell me what the point of suicide gripping is. I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. So this is a doctor talking about what's going on here. Oh, classic double bicep tear. Ooh. So for those of you that don't know what just happened there, let's talk about, we didn't really talk about tendons. So, like, let me find the Larry Wheels injury, because Larry Wheels, I mean, we got to talk about, this is probably the most important injury that you'll ever see. There's been a couple of these, but for those of you that haven't seen this is where what's his name fucking tears his pec. Now, we got to talk about steroid use and what happens. So, yes, right there, let's see if I can get it. Again, sorry if it's a graphic injury for some of you guys. But you have to talk about, when it comes to gym injuries, the most common injuries usually come from heavy lifting combined with steroids. So you have to understand what steroids do for the most part. I'm going to give you kind of the bro science and like the overview. What steroids do is they don't make you stronger. What they do is they improve your healing. They basically cause your muscle. So when you work out, your muscles tear, right? And then it takes those tears, heals them up. And then, like when you're resting, and then it makes the muscle bigger. Steroids, what they do is when you have those muscle tears, it will actually grow them faster. It will heal them faster. Now, here's the problem with tears. All your muscles are held together by tendons, right? The way the muscle tears and heals is you get blood flow to it. The downside to that is because the tendons aren't exactly muscles, they don't get as much blood flow. So you'll see these big guys with these small tendons because they've been taking steroids. Steroids only help you with muscle growth. There's not enough blood flow or any flow whatsoever to the tendons to actually strengthen the tendons. That's why the easiest way to know if someone's on steroids is always check like this tendon here. So I have a pretty good tendon because I don't take steroids. But like, if that were, like, the way you kind of know is they'll have like that, see how his tendon's so thin? Very common in steroid users. Again, we can talk about steroids. I don't think steroids are necessarily bad for you, but there's definitely repercussions. So even though the muscles are strong, the tendons aren't strong. Now your tendons can take a lot of damage in the sense of like it's actually pretty hard to tear a tendon. Just generally speaking, your ACL is a little different, but we can get to that stuff as well. Because you're not getting that blood flow and it's not growing as fast as your muscles, when you do heavy weight like this, there's a high chance you're going to tear something. So that's why a lot of bigger dudes who are on steroids will have more tears, because their tendons are not even close to as big or proportionally as big to their muscles. So the other famous one is the hyperextended knee. So this is probably the most common one that people see all the time. This is the broken leg, as they say. So this injury is usually not as bad as you think. Let's see it. It's going to go, because he's locking out, right? It's going to... here it comes. Yeah. So right there, what ends up happening is one of two things. Most of the time, it's not as serious of an injury as people think. Usually the leg, like people go, oh, his leg's broken. Not really true. What ends up happening is, right, you have your knee joint, you have your femur coming in here, and then you have your tibia fibia, right? Whichever one goes down. I forget what it is. But either way, what ends up happening is most of the time, the one that, so here's your knee and it goes down. This just ends up dislocating, right? For this guy, it might be a little worse just because of how deep of a hyperextension it is. But usually what'll happen is your MCL and ACL will just elongate, so it'll hyperextend. And then you just have to wait for it to heal. And then someone has to relocate your leg, and then you're out for like 2 months, and then you're good. Worst case scenario is you break your leg, but I think that's kind of hard to do on this, because to break your leg, usually it takes brunt force to break your leg. The only time you ever really see a broken leg is from really high falls. This is really just a dislocation. So I think there's like a little bit of a misconception where guys will do this, and I have seen this a couple times at gyms where, again, they were walking within like 2 weeks. So it looks like a bad injury, but it's really just a severe dislocation. Maybe worst case scenario, a torn ACL, MCL. Which nowadays with technology, like you can heal that in a couple months. Like usually you're walking. You won't be able to sprint, but you know. So yeah, again, those are the big ones. That was fun. We went through a lot. We did it in an hour and 11 minutes, so I'm pretty happy with that one. But yeah, so any other gym fails, just ask. Again, I don't know if we'll do any more of these, but just because, again, I feel like I've seen all of them. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So I will leave a link in the description down below for those of you that care about social media, promo codes, stream links, Discord down below. Again, this is mostly bro science. I'm just going based off experience, not like I'm not a doctor by any means. But again, I've just seen guys that have gone through all these injuries, and we were like, hey, I'm back in a week, So yeah, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one and at stream. So peace.